Let's learn about bodies of water. Emmy spent all day playing in the ocean. Heat from the sun beat down on her. After a while, she noticed she was thirsty. She tried a sip of the ocean water. Yuck! It tasted terrible. Emmy was surrounded by water, but she had to go somewhere else to find a drink. Why do you think that is? That's right, some water on Earth is salt water. Earth's oceans are filled with salt water, and so are the seas. Salt water has lots more salt than fresh water, which is why we can taste it. Our bodies cannot handle that much salt. So people cannot drink salt water at all. In fact, it will make us sick. That is why Emmy had to find a drink of fresh water instead of ocean water. About 3/4 of Earth is covered in water. That's why when you look at the globe, most of it looks blue. Almost all of that water is salt water from the oceans. Remember that Earth's oceans and seas contain salt water. Most of Earth is covered in water. That's why our planet looks mostly blue. Some marshes also contain salt water. A marsh is an area along a coast filled with water and tall grass. Many birds in salt marshes can drink salt water. When the birds drink the water, special glands remove the salt. But remember, humans cannot drink salt water. Some water, though, is fresh water. Water that is not salt water is called fresh water. People and many animals cannot drink the salt water, so we have to go to lakes, rivers, or streams in order to get fresh water. But only 3% of all water on Earth is fresh water, so it's very precious and we have to make sure we're conserving it. Fresh water flows from the tops of mountains and hills downward in moving bodies of water known as rivers or streams. We can drink only about 1% of the water on Earth, but where does that water come from? We can't drink the glaciers. Glaciers are huge sheets of ice. We can't drink ice. We can't drink ocean water because it's too salty. You're right, we get it from those rivers, streams, and lakes. Streams are small bodies of water, and they flow into rivers. Rivers then become wider and longer than streams, and they flow into lakes and oceans, or from lakes into oceans. Most lakes are completely surrounded by land, and some lakes connect to rivers. Fresh water also comes from other sources like the rain. Rainwater is fresh water, and fresh water also comes from underground lakes and streams. People can bring it up to the surface. They drill down into the ground, and then they build a well to bring up the fresh water. Rain provides fresh water. It runs off Earth's surface and fills rivers, streams, and lakes. But did you know that not all lakes contain fresh water? Some of them are actually full of salt water. For example, in China, it has many saltwater lakes. The United States also has the most famous one called Salt Lake City in Utah.
Every single thing on planet Earth needs water to survive. Water is necessary for life and comes in many forms. It can be solid as ice, liquid as water, or in the air as a gas called water vapor. It freezes, melts, evaporates, and condenses. Water is constantly changing and always around us. Most of the water on Earth has salt in it, while only a little bit is fresh. The water in lakes, rivers, streams, and ponds are full of fresh water. If you've ever been to the beach, you've seen an ocean. Oceans are large bodies of salt water. They cover most of the Earth. Humans can't drink salt water, even though there is so much of it around. Most of the fresh water on Earth is either underground or solid ice in glaciers and ice caps. This means that only a tiny amount of all the Earth's water is drinkable for humans. It's a good thing that fresh water is recycled through the water cycle. which keeps water available in the ecosystems on Earth. The water cycle is made up of three main parts: evaporation, condensation, precipitation. In this cycle, water turns to vapor. The vapor becomes liquid within clouds, and then it falls to the earth as rain, snow, sleet, or hail. Water also makes changes to the land around it, creating new landscapes from erosion or moving sand and soil. Water is an essential part of life on Earth, not to mention how fun it can be to go for a swim or play in the rain.
Hey, welcome back. How was vacation?
It was great! I brought a picture to show you. I found this design someone made on the beach, and I know you like art. I thought it was cool how they sorted those little rocks by colors.
Cool. Did you make one too?
Yeah, but it got washed away before we got a picture.
If you were making pebble art, how would you sort the rocks? What characteristics would you use to pick your materials? I think I would use shape to make my design. Maybe I could put one row of round rocks, one row of squarish ones, and one row of flat ones.
Mom did something kind of like that. My brother used size for his. A huge rock in the middle and lines of different sized rocks coming out from it.
Your family sounds very creative. What did you do with yours?
I used texture to make my pebble art. One stripe of smooth pebbles and another stripe with bumpy pebbles. I wanted some pebbles with bumpy edges, but I couldn't find many. I wonder why.
Well, what kind of beach was it? Was it a lake, ocean, or river?
It was an ocean, the Pacific. The water was cold and clear and salty. Does that have something to do with the rocks?
Well, think about a lake, stream, and an ocean. How are they different?
Okay, they're all made of water. Streams are fresh water, and lakes usually are too. Oceans are salt water.
All true, but there's something else.
Well, lake water seems pretty still unless it's super windy. But streams and rivers have moving water, and the ocean has waves. Is that what you're thinking?
Exactly. River rocks and rocks at the beach are often smooth, just like your pebbles.
And that's because they get tossed around by the moving water. Rough edges get sanded down over time.
And eventually they'll be small enough to be sand.
That reminds me, when we were driving across the country, the soil kept changing. It made me wonder how there can be so many different types of soil. I thought all dirt was the same.
I think it has to do with what the soil is made from. Let's do some research. What is soil made out of?
So it looks like soil is a combination of things. Weathered bits of rock, air, and... Wait a minute. Hummus? I think we eat that with pita chips.
I think the stuff in soil is actually humus. Decaying plant and animal matter. It makes the soil good for growing things.
That's a relief. So maybe the soils are different colors because of the different kinds of rocks and minerals they are made out of.
That sounds reasonable to me. Dark soils have lots of humus. Some soil is red because of iron, and some is pale and sandy.
The particles can be different sizes, and they can feel different too.
Have you ever used a sieve set to sort out the particles of sand?
I don't think so. How does it work?
There's a stack of sieve trays with different size holes. You pour in your soil sample and give it a gentle shake. The pieces of soil are caught by screens on the way down, and the bottom dish catches the very finest particles.
That sounds cool.
Hey, I have a question for you. I know you saw different types of soil on your trip, but did you also notice different kinds of water?
Sure. The water was different colors. Some was fresh and some was salty. Some was clear and some was hard to see through. I wonder what made the water so different in the places we visited.
Maybe you could do some research to answer that question on your own. See you next time.
Let's sort these pictures of rocks by their color, size, shape, or texture. Let's look at this first picture. I'm noticing that all of them are different shapes. One is a circle, square, and star. So this picture, they are sorted by shape. What do you think they're sorted by in this picture? You're right. They're sorted by different colors. They're different shades of black. What about this picture? I noticed that this one looks kind of rough. This one is smooth, and this one looks kind of shiny even. Would they be sorted by texture or size? You're right, they're sorted by texture. And then this last picture, I noticed that some are big and some are small. So how is this picture sorted? You're right, they are sorted by size. So when we look at certain objects, remember we're looking at their physical properties and how we can sort them based off of their physical properties.